Back to the book. On the 11th of January, we returned to the south of... And, just to go back to that one piece right there. Dichotomy of leadership. There's a dichotomy in everything. And, obviously, I'm a big proponent of being aggressive. And I also always talk about the fact that there is such a thing as being too aggressive. You're running to your death. No, not a good idea. Not a good idea. And there's probably a good chance that when he talks about people after 2 months of combat, everyone starts to develop a different type of attitude. Also, the people that were ultra aggressive didn't make it. Like the leader that he talked about that was strutting around. The guy was ultra aggressive, didn't care about anything, and he's dead.
Yeah.
So there's a balance you got to have. That's the dichotomy of leadership. That's why the dichotomy of leadership is so important and so hard to understand. Back to the book. On the day after the battalion was relieved in Hoven Woods, someone I suspect it was the adjutant Tim Watson, decided that I should enjoy 48 hours on leave in Antwerp. I was overjoyed. The large hotel, although faded, was still plush and filled with officers, including women, ATS officers, from the various base units stationed in the city. Dressed as I had left the battlefield, I was both disheveled and soiled. Surrounded by the residents, many of whom were in service dress, I could not have felt more isolated and lonely. So he's getting some leave time, but he's showing up off the battlefield grimy. My first visit was to a magnificent white marble gentleman's hairdressing salon in the basement of a hotel. Without a word, the barber washed and rinsed my hair twice before touching it with his precious scissors and clippers. I remember the feeling of well-being as, climbing the stairs, I returned to my room. Next, I took 3 very hot baths, one after the other, to rid myself of grime, both physical and emotional. I think I must have slept for 14 hours before I rose, shaved, took another bath, and decided to explore the city. A rather creased battle dress was my best suit, and in this I descended the main staircase into the lounge, which was filled with the resident officers, all of whom seemed to be annoyingly self-assured. I met a barrier. I had walked out of a world that I knew into one where I was desperately unsure of myself. Away from the battlefield, this world had no place for me. I did not go out to lunch, go to nightclubs, or meet the girls who were everywhere, seemed to be canvassing for these establishments. I had wandered too far into dark and smoky battlefields across the sticks to find solace or comfort in the bright lights behind the blackout curtains of Antwerp. I longed to return to the battalion and to 18 Platoon, which, without my knowing it, had become my home. With a light heart, a clean body, freshly laundered clothes, and refreshed by hours of unbroken sleep, I gladly climbed into the 3-ton truck that took me there. Years later, I found the same problem after I left the army. Antwerp had been a small taste of the real world, and as anyone who has served with good soldiers on grim battlefields will confirm, afterwards, real life never seems real again. Later, there was no 18 Platoon to slink back to, and without a loving wife, it would have proved intolerable. Well, that's the feeling that we get when you get done doing that job. And real life never seems real again in comparison. I know the vets that are listening understand that part.